Change, whether anticipated or sudden, can significantly impact our psychological well-being. It can trigger a range of emotional, cognitive, and behavioral responses. Emotional responses can include anxiety, stress, fear of the unknown, grief, loss, and excitement or anticipation. Cognitive responses can include being overwhelmed, difficulty concentrating, resistance to change, and adaptation or learning. And lastly, behavioral responses include avoidance, procrastination, increased conflict, and new habits or routines. Sometimes we don't even know that these symptoms are products of the changes we experience. It's important to note that individual responses to change vary widely based on factors such as personality, coping mechanisms, and the nature of the change itself. However, sometimes our reactions hold us back in life. I mean, change is always gonna be a challenge, but it also presents the best opportunities for our personal growth and development. I have a huge change on the docket for my life coming up in August. I'd like to believe that I'll use my martial arts training to handle it, but how will I respond? On August 17th, the Texas Rock Gym is closing. This is a huge change in my life. That's where I've been training in Aikido and climbing for the past 10 years. I've built a wonderful community of friends, and I'll be losing all of that. Of course, as a follow-up to this video, I'll keep you guys updated on what happens after. But how will this change affect my life? Will I get to continue teaching and training in Aikido? And where will I continue climbing? How will this affect my psychological well-being? Will I be resilient? Change is something that is constant in our lives. Whether it's a career change, a change in the status of a relationship, maybe you lost someone very close, or a global crisis like COVID. The ability to adapt to these changes is crucial for overcoming life's challenges. As a martial artist, you become a master of adaptation and change. Every training session presents you with new challenges, a different opponent, a modified technique, or even an unexpected shift in the training environment. Let's take a deeper look at how the things you learn on the mat can translate into adapting to change in all areas of your life. First, when you face off with an opponent, you have to accept a certain level of uncertainty. You have no idea how or when they'll attack. Sometimes, you don't even know their level of mastery. You're forced to have an open mind. You're forced to accept what comes your way. If you don't, you've already lost. In life, having an open mindset and learning to embrace uncertainty reduces stress and increases resilience. Instead of fearing the unknown, you view it as an opportunity to grow and learn. Instead of having a negative emotional response like anxiety, stress, grief, or loss, when you respond with excitement or anticipation, your chances of overcoming the change are nearly guaranteed. Before you face an opponent, it's important to build up and master some basic techniques and movements through training, deliberate practice, and repetition. This is how you build your foundation, and a strong foundation helps you come up with creative solutions to situations you aren't expecting. Many of the core techniques and movements in the martial arts require adaptability and flexibility. You need to be able to adjust your techniques based on the opponent's movements. This easily translates into the ability to change plans, perspectives, and even goals when necessary. Let's imagine COVID as an opponent. Suddenly, within the span of weeks, schools shut down. Then there's a government-mandated quarantine. For the longest, we only saw half of the faces of the people around us. We had to practice social distancing. These are all very different ways of living that were thrust upon us suddenly. And the world felt it. Some of us were anxious, stressed, lonely, and some of us lost loved ones. It was change after change after change. In my experience, I had to close down my school. I couldn't teach, so I quickly learned how to use Zoom. I created new habits and routines, and I started creating videos on my YouTube channel. Of course, Aikido is an art that is not practical to learn via Zoom. So I quickly adapted again and created new habits and routines. That's the martial arts mindset in me. You could say I didn't back down, but really, I just figured out a new way. That's how I used my martial arts training to deal with change. It's not always easy, and failure is inevitable, but that's a topic I covered in a previous video. The road to success is paved with failure. When you fall, you just stand up again, and you try again and again and again. In 2019, I was working at the Houston Community College as a film lab aide. I've been working there for 10 years, and the only reason I stayed so long was because my mentor, Rick Harrington, who founded the filmmaking program at HCC, was there. He was like a father to me. He helped me get my business started, always stood behind me and the decisions I made. I always felt inspired to create content, to try my best and work hard. I loved talking to him about my projects and my challenges. He always listened, just like a parent, and encouraged me to do my best. Well, in 2019, he decided to retire. That was a huge change for me. I accepted it right away and resigned from HCC before his last day. There was no reason for me to stay there anymore. I had already built my business to a point where I could be on my own, and the 20 hours a week that I was working there could be better spent working on my business. I quickly moved on. I took a leap into the unknown. You know, I'm kind of excited about the Texas Rock Gym closing. It's a new beginning for me, one with many questions I'll have to answer. How am I going to continue to teach and train in Aikido? What am I going to do with those mats? Should I keep the same class times? Will I have to create new habits and routines? I have no idea what's going to happen, but I can't wait to make a video about this in September. When I first started Aikido, I was forced to see the world in a different way. What I had learned in previous martial arts was only stopping me from understanding the techniques in Aikido. They're so different. Although, hold on a second, the techniques themselves are very similar, nearly identical to other martial arts. But the perspective of how those techniques are executed make all the difference. For instance, there are two core concepts in Aikido, Irimi and Tenkan, that offer profound insights into how we can approach challenges and transitions in our lives. Irimi, which translates to entering or advancing, means moving into the opponent's space rather than resisting their attack. This principle can be directly applied to the process of adaptation. We can use this concept of Irimi to embrace new experiences. Just like when you step into an opponent's space in Aikido, embracing change requires openness and curiosity. Rather than fearing the unknown, view it as an opportunity for growth. Entering into a new experience with a positive and open mindset allows you to explore and learn from them. Irimi also emphasizes the importance of being flexible and adaptable in response to changing circumstances. You adjust your movements to the opponent's actions, just like we need to be willing to modify our plans and approaches as needed. This adaptability ensures we remain effective and resilient in the face of change. By moving into a challenging situation rather than resisting it, we open ourselves up to discovering new possibilities and solutions. And as we embrace these challenges head on, it allows us to see them as opportunities for innovation and growth rather than threats. The second fundamental principle in Aikido, with a profound implication for adaptation, is Tenkan, which means turning. Tenkan involves redirecting an opponent's energy rather than opposing it. When faced with a challenge, Tenkan encourages us to shift our perspective and look for alternative approaches. Think pivot. By changing the way we view a problem, we can often find new and effective solutions that were not initially apparent. It's embracing our creative side. By redirecting our energy and focus, we can transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Instead of confronting challenges head-on and potentially exasperating them, Tenkan teaches us to use the momentum of the situation to our advantage, finding ways to move forward that align with the flow of events. Tenkan also fosters a resilient mindset, enabling us to bounce back from setbacks and find new paths forward. Change can be debilitating, or it can be a source of inspiration. The choice is yours, because change isn't something you can control. You only control how you can respond. And you can use the martial arts to help you make change a source of inspiration. Degree, each day with enthusiasm and excitement. Now that's something you can take out of the dojo.